Hello. How's it going, everybody? Greatest show ever. If only. I'm close to 1,000 subscribers though, which is pretty cool. Sorry, getting settled in. Hi, everybody. Oh man, what a week it's been, huh? We got told about Brian Craig returning to GH. We got told about Jonathan Jackson returning to GH. And we got told about Michael Easton leaving GH. What a week. And it's only Wednesday. Oh man. I hope y'all are doing well. And having a great week so far. Sorry, I've got like multiple things to set up today. So, you know, it's going to be a variety show a little bit. Not only are we going to be reacting to some classic Lucky Spencer clips with Jonathan Jackson, obviously. We're just going to be talking about theories and potential romance for Lucky on his return. What could happen. Really just, you know, a bunch of things that we could talk about. I want to speak about all of it. I want to know your theories too, or what you guys want for the return of Lucky Spencer. Kind of the beauty of the fact that he's been gone so long is that they could really do anything with this character. I kind of went on a rant on Tumblr, or not a rant, but like a kind of a tangent yesterday. And then I seen Stephen Bradford's interview with Jonathan Jackson earlier, right after work today, and they kind of said the same thing. There's like a clean slate with Lucky Spencer. It's hard to say where they're gonna go with him. There we go. Alright, sorry, I gotta read this. But hey everyone, sorry I had the chat kind of down earlier because I couldn't see anything. Alright, hey Cortez, hey Allison, hey Nathan, hey Angel, gang's all here. Is his last air date tomorrow though? Like I know, is that what's going on? I thought we had him for like a month and that he just filmed his last one last night. Or did he film that during his last scene the other day? Angeli said, I wonder if they make him address being a deadbeat like Jason. Well, it's hard to say because one thing that I remember, and we're going to go through kind of the things that we know about Lucky from the last 10 years that he has been gone. We know that apparently, at least in 2015, he was doing regular Skype chats with Aiden and Cameron. That's what I heard from Brock TV. That's crazy. Yeah, I guess it's hard to tell. I know GH actors. Sorry, hey Mikub. I know that GH actors tend to keep things off screen, like behind the scenes stuff, until certain things air. But I don't know. I was under the impression that Michael Easton had literally taped that goodbye message yesterday and saying that he just shot his last scene. So I was thinking that we have him until August. But, you know, if I'm wrong, then that's unfortunate. I think one thing that's apparent is that this writer's shakeup, the second writer's shakeup, is definitely changing certain things. We're seeing them put a full stop on Michael Easton's or Finn's alcohol story. Maybe that's why it got so rushed in the first place. I don't know. Being a Skype parent isn't enough, though. Yeah, but I'm saying that they could easily just be like, well, you know, every summer they go on vacation together, or he comes in, we just don't see him. But yeah, I one thing I want to do, looks like he goes to rehab tomorrow. We'll see. We will see. I think Finn is going to the gates, and Michael Easton is going to the gates. That would be a twist. But I honestly, he's such a good actor, and I really hope he gets something, because he's been killing the story. I was saying it earlier, like, Michael Easton is part of the reason why this story is working, and it's, for me anyway, it's the most interesting thing on the show right now. And the fact that it's stopping abruptly is unfortunate. But it definitely seems like, maybe they got rid of Michael Easton so that they could afford Jonathan Jackson again. I don't know. This feels very much what happened to Greg Vaughn and Jonathan Jackson the last time around. But, it's not a recast. It's just like, well, kind of in the sense that it's like one romantic interest for Liz to another. The only difference is that the last time it was just an actor that played the character that he came back for. Finn was a boring story and everyone complained when he was with Liz. Now people are complaining that he's gone. I thought that this story was not boring at all, Angel. Every other story, yes. But this particular story, no. I've actually been really enjoying it, and it's the only interesting thing on GH currently, in my opinion. The Anna, Valentine, and Jason stuff is so boring and irritating. And then, I don't know. The Sunny and Ava thing would have been interesting had she actually warned him about the meds being tampered with. And now that, Sunny's sort of alliance with Ava also got stopped abruptly, so it makes me wonder if that was a switch with the writers as well. It seems like they're stopping all the wrong stories and continuing the boring ones. Yeah, Lucky was always a good guy. Yeah, it's hard to... Yeah, he was. But we know he's been a little more reckless. Well, here, okay. So this is the first thing I wanted to do. Before we go into anything else, I had a list of what we do know about what Lucky's been up to since 2011. And obviously he's been back one time on screen since then, 2015. But here is what we know. So Lucky has essentially been on a sabbatical since Siobhan got murdered, his wife, by Anthony Zacchara in 2011, I think it was, maybe early 2012, before Frank Valentini and Ron came in at that time. Now, so the first thing we know is that Lucky went to Ireland to mourn and honor his wife Siobhan, and he got a sign from Jake's ghost that Aiden was sick, and well, Jake is alive now, so the Lord knows who gave him the sign, but basically when Lucky went back to town and Aiden got better, he went back to Ireland and moved to Ireland or whatever. Now, we do know that during that time, Laura visited him in Ireland a lot off screen, because Jeannie Francis was not back on the show, but they would mention her from time to time, mention Laura being with Lucky from time to time. Even when she did come back, she would talk about it with Lulu. Then at some point he moved to Africa. Ethan apparently lived with him for a bit there too. By 2015, they got kidnapped and used by Frank Smith, and it somehow led to Lucky finding out that Jake was alive. Literally none of the story made sense at all. This is a Ron Carlivati mess for Luke's exit story that I'm talking about. Then he delivers Jake back to Elizabeth, where it was mentioned that he Skyped with the kids regularly back then. So whether that's still true now, we don't know. And then he finds out that Jake Doe was Jason, which obviously now it wasn't Jason. And Liz was so messy that he literally just shook his head and left. He just left and went back to Africa or wherever. And we also know, though we've not seen him in Port Charles, we know that he has been to Port Charles multiple times off screen. We know that he attended Nicholas's funerals, one of them. Everything that I'm saying here just sounds so ridiculous because of all the rewrites. So we know that he attended Nicholas's funeral off screen, and we know that he went to Laura and Kevin's wedding reception because he missed his flight because of a storm or something. So he couldn't attend the ceremony, but he got there for the reception off screen. And we also know that he's visited Lulu in the institution while she's been in her coma. So all of these things happen off screen. But beyond that, the last 9 years have pretty much been a mystery. He could be shady as hell, or a changed grown-up man, like a mature dude. We don't know. Or he could be his father's son, just, a drunk mess. We don't know. We really don't know. Elizabeth could be going from one drunk to the next. We don't know. All right. Now I'm going to go back to my chat. Sorry, I had to open up something. I had to open up my Tumblr just because I had listed all the things that Lucky's been through in there. And I was like, I don't know. I can't remember that all by heart. But yeah. What are y'all saying? Hopefully this Pikeman stuff will end soon. I hope so, Allison. Kaiwani said, Siobhan, the Irish bird, the chick from Young and the Restless, that was murdered. She was on YNR, I didn't know that. I will say, and this is probably a really unpopular opinion, I really liked Siobhan. I really adored that character until they made her like a jealous shrew towards Elizabeth when she had no reason to be. Because to me, Lucky and Siobhan were they're like, just in how they met and how things started with them, it felt very old school super couple-y. Not saying that they were one, but they were kind of taking a page from that, having Lucky go on this crazy wild adventure away from Port Charles and, in disguise as someone else. And, then Siobhan, who knew the guy that he was disguised as, figured out who he was, and there was this whole thing. He did. I don't remember all these off-screen information. Yeah, they did. Right after the wedding reception, they mentioned it. Who was it? I think Laura mentioned people visiting Lulu. I know that she said even Luke did before he had died. So multiple things, and it was mentioned. It was very brief, but they were all mentioned for sure on screen. Sorry, I lost my train of thought there. Angel, you said I liked Siobhan and Lucky. I saw Liz being the jealous one. Yeah, I mean, Elizabeth was jealous too, but it reversed just before Siobhan died. It's almost like they tried to make her unlikable, so that they could just kill her off justifiably. It's possible that part of that was because Jonathan Jackson was leaving the show, and maybe we just weren't aware yet. But I don't know. Yeah, he attended Nicholas's funeral off screen. Yes, he did. So yeah, we know that he's been in Port Charles a couple of times, so presumably he has spent time with his kids here and there. But again, we see the kids so little that we just don't know, and the writers can do with that what they may. They don't necessarily have to make him a deadbeat dad. They could just be like, oh yeah, we go visit Lucky once a month, or Lucky goes to my games that are important, or Lucky could be spending time with Cameron for all we know, while he's in college and on vacation because it's now it's summer. But I don't know. I don't know. There's wiggle room for Lucky. There is. Whereas with Jason, they did this FBI story, so clearly he wasn't there. So yeah, there's wiggle room for Lucky. Lucky is a reformed pill popping addict. Yeah, he is, but that could have changed off screen because he's been gone for a decade. That's what I'm saying. They really could do anything with Lucky at this point. And as I mentioned earlier, Jonathan Jackson was even discussing that. And actually, I think it was Bradford that brought it up. That, he's been gone for so long that it's almost like a clean slate for him. And the caveat is that he does have certain relationships here that they can revisit. Obviously, the main one that they talked about was Jeannie Francis, Laura, but they didn't mention things like Elizabeth and his kids, even though Aiden is biologically his, but we know that he was some kind of father figure to Jake at some point, and to Cameron at some point, although Cameron is off screen right now. He's got his cousin Carly. He's got all of Carly's kids that he has friendships with. Well, maybe not Jocelyn. She was still a baby, even though it was just a decade ago. But, he had a relationship with Michael. He obviously will probably talk to Carly about Bobby, because we've not seen that conversation. And he had a friendship with Maxie as well. So yeah, like he's got a lot of connections on the canvas still. As I feel like during the interview, Bradford, Jonathan, and Steve kind of belittled just how many connections he has. They kind of were like, well, you only have Jeannie Francis. And no, it's not true. Yeah, I went with Maxie as well. Yeah, so yeah, no, he's got a lot of connections on the canvas currently. And now he's got a nephew that he hasn't met yet as well. As far as we know. Nicholas is newborn. Maybe look at Maxie and him together too. I don't know. I feel like they're full throttle with Spixie at this point. But we shall see. And I think, to me, I'm under the impression that Jonathan has not begun shooting yet. That's the impression I'm getting. Were Lucky and Maxie friends after the pill addiction? Yes, they were. Because Maxie grew as a person. Like, the thing that I can remember, like, Lucky and Maxie, they did actually go out on, like, a couple of dates. Like, under Jonathan Jackson in, like, 2010. But, like, friendship dates, not, like, actual romantic dates. Like, they went to concerts together, and we got to see them hang out. I think he even brought her to his apartment one time, and they were just talking about furniture in the house and Maxie wanting to redo certain things in the house, and just being supportive and everything. They did form a friendship. And I think a part of that is that obviously Maxie grew and changed from the person she was when she was feeding Lucky pills. After Georgie died, she did become a different person, and that person built a friendship with Lucky for a bit. It wasn't one that was shown frequently, but it was shown multiple times. So, yeah. Who must be the most boring couple I ever seen? See, I don't hate Elizabeth and Finn. I think that they're like a sweet couple. There's not enough substance and story with them to make them interesting. So I don't think people necessarily hate Elizabeth and Finn. I think that they find them boring, and I think that that's justified, honestly. I will never get over that they had Greg Vaughn Lucky fantasizing over Carly. Oh, I forgot about that. Yeah, she was in like the montage of when the boys had a boys' night out at Jake's, and it was like Lucky, Rick, Patrick, I think probably Max, and someone else, all fantasizing about Carly, including Lucky, which is ew, because that's his cousin. Yeah, there's been mention of him and Aiden zooming each other online every week, so I don't think Aiden will be angry, hopefully. Yeah, I don't think so either, but that mention was like 9 years ago. So like I said, it could go that way, and that we can assume that they kept up with that, but maybe they could go the deadbeat route. But I just feel like to have that story playing out with two different characters seems a bit redundant. So I don't think they're going to go that way. I think they're going to establish that they have a relationship and that we just haven't really seen him on screen for obvious reasons. Does he know that Aiden is gay? Does he notice? We don't know. We don't know. Who knows? Like, I think I told you guys this. I came out to my dad online, so maybe Aiden came out to his dad online, and it is like the easier route, honestly, than a face-to-face. But I feel like, assuming Aiden has kept up with these Skype chats or whatever with Lucky, Aiden was so like quick to open up to Elizabeth, and we know that he opened up to Finn off screen as well. So it's it's hard to say. How will Lucky react to Aiden being gay? He'll be open to it. We know that when Lucas came out, Lucky was supportive of him, and like, he felt sorry that he felt like the macho-ness of the Spencers made it feel weird for him to be gay. So Lucky did have a perspective on Lucas's coming out story. So I don't think he's going to care either way. Luke certainly didn't care when Lucas came out. Neither did Lucky. I don't see Lucky caring about Aiden being gay. Yeah, exactly, Angel. Yeah, he really, he won't care. He'll love his son no matter what. But yeah, so I guess, there's a lot that could be here, happening. And obviously, I think a big question here is, do you think Lucky will get back together with Elizabeth? Elizabeth is now single. We also now know that Michael Easton is leaving. Conveniently, the same time Jonathan Jackson is coming back. So it feels like they could go that route. And obviously, Lucky and Elizabeth, as beloved as they were in the 90s and early 2000s when they got together, the high school sweethearts, the whole thing, he saved her life, all these things, they went through hell as adults. Affairs, drug addiction, more affairs. Elizabeth, she cheated on Lucky with Jason. Lucky cheated on Elizabeth with Maxie. And then Elizabeth cheated on Lucky again with Nicholas. But I think it's a fair thing to say that Elizabeth is not the person she was back then. She was still hella messy in 2015 when she thought she was lying and keeping Jason being alive from all of his family and friends. But she has changed since then too. She seems very, very, what's the word I'm looking for? She seems very comfortable in her own skin. She seems very confident that she's worthy of love. She feels confident. I mean, she's putting her boys first over her men, which was kind of like the opposite back in the day. So she's a very different person. So I am interested, at the very least, to see them kind of hash out their past on screen, because I'm sure that they've had this conversation off screen by now. We don't know. But I would hope that we get to see something on screen where they talk about all the mistakes that they have made in their past and how much their life experiences have changed them as human beings, and maybe revisit where they are now in life. It's kind of like, that's kind of what's happening with Spinelli and Maxie. They were very different people when they got together. They've been, for sure, Maxie's been through hell several times over, and that's made her a different person. So it's kind of nice to see them get back together and somewhat resemble their past selves, but with a maturity. And that's kind of what I hope for, should they go the Lucky and Elizabeth route, because at this point, I don't need messiness with Lucky and Elizabeth. I wouldn't mind them being happy and together, and maybe just dealing with other things, other obstacles that have nothing to do with affairs. Like give them a different challenge, you know. Liz being infatuated with Jason really dragged her character down. It really did. It really did. She's about to lie to Danny's paternity. Yeah, that's right. She was going to lie about Danny's paternity to keep Jason. Damn. So yeah, but again, she doesn't seem to be that person. And yeah, Lucky did seem done with her when he left town. But it's, you know, much like real life, some people circle back. When they are in a headspace where they feel like they can be around each other, and if that turns into something more with who they are now, then why not? But I think I don't know. They need to hash out the past first. They need to build a friendship back. If they're gonna go the Lucky and Elizabeth route, they need to have it kind of be a slow burn. And we know that his return is a long stint, which is great. Now with Lucky back, he can collect all three of his children, and I mean all three of his children. Yeah, I mean, I want that too, because obviously Cameron and Jake aren't biologically his, but he loved them enough to adopt them at one point. So, you know, he loved those kids as if they were his own, and I'd like to believe that they'll continue that. So, you know, it's there. I have so much hope for Lucky Spencer, but I don't want him to return and be a cop again. I want him to be maybe even a PI. Like make him. I want Lucky to be not necessarily shady, but I want him to be a bit of a risk taker, and bending certain things to bring down the bad guys. Should they make him sort of the new generation Luke Spencer, but like not the Luke Spencer that we saw the last, like, you know, in the 90s, like 2000s Luke Spencer, but like the 80s Luke Spencer, the heroic guy who, you know, puts the people he cares about first and everything else, you know. Jason is allegedly Jake's father. His paternity test was never shown. Wasn't it though? No, we definitely seen the paper that said that he was the father, Nathan. We for sure seen it. I remember that. Outside the hospital, she was standing with it. And Sunny, I think, ended up behind her, and she had to put the paper away. So no, we definitely know that Jake is his son. And also he looks, you know, he's got the blonde hair, blue eyes. I don't know what else to say about that. What else is he going to do other than a cop? PI. He could be a PI. Yeah. Or yeah, they could put Lucky back with Sam. I don't know if... No, actually, you know what? I don't want that. No. No. Look, Lucky and Sam worked really well with Greg Vaughn's Lucky. So, I don't... And Jonathan Jackson's Lucky and Sam did share scenes. So... And I didn't see any chemistry there. I can't see it. And also, Sam is not the person that she was back then. You know, she was this, like, seductress, like, badass, whatever. And so she was kind of the yin to Lucky's yang, and I feel like she brought Lucky's adventurous side out again. Did you see Dominic Zampronia is taking a break from GH? No, I didn't. That's interesting. I mean, you know, maybe he just wants a vacation. Or maybe he's shooting something. I don't know. Port Charles cops are kind of lame. Yeah. Although I can see Mac wanting to hire him as, you know, under detectives again. Or, I mean, Anna and Lucky didn't really have much of a... Well, they didn't really have any of a relationship, I don't think. I don't think that they ever crossed paths on screen. Like, even when Jonathan wasn't Lucky, Lucky and Anna, I don't think, ever shared scenes. But to be fair, anytime that Anna was brought back onto the show back then, she was very much just in scenes with like Robin and Patrick, sometimes Luke, and like Tracy, but mostly Robin and Patrick, and what's his name, Noah Drake as well. What do you think that Jagger would help with Lucky? I'm trying. I don't think did Lucky and Jagger ever cross paths? I don't know. They could have off screen. Again, 9 years. We don't know. Hopefully Jagger leaves soon. I know that people are enjoying him as an actor. I'm not. The character does nothing for me. Maybe it's partially because it's not connecting in my brain that he's Jagger, because they go out of his way to call him John, and he doesn't look anything like the original Jagger, and he doesn't act anything like the original Jagger. Like, there's just it just feels like there was no reason to make him Jagger. Like, there seems to be no purpose there. You think he's the best part of the pikeman scene, even though he's not the original Italian stallion? I don't think he's the best part of the pikeman scene, but I don't think anything is particularly great about the pikeman scene to begin with. The characters aren't likable. The Valentine being pikeman is like, okay, then what? Is he gonna get away with it? If he is, then what's the point of the story? Like there's just all this, there's all this stuff that just makes him unlikable to me. They made Jagger to stick it to Antonio Sabato Jr. Maybe. Well, I don't know. Frank doesn't really seem to have much of a interaction with Frank Valentini. Like, I don't know, has Antonio Sabato Jr. approached him to be Jagger and he just turned him down? Because, like, I don't know. Yes, Val will get away with it. So yeah, it's one of those things like, what is the point? Why are we here? If he doesn't get away with it, I will be pleasantly surprised, but I don't see it playing out that way. But yeah, do you guys have any opinions on Lucky? Like, what do you guys want for Lucky, ultimately? Like, who do you want him to be with? Is there anyone on the canvas that you can see him with besides Elizabeth? I mean, the stars are kind of aligning for them to get together, but obviously there's a lot of people that he doesn't know in Port Charles now. Do you think he'd have chemistry with anyone else? Are you curious to see what a friendship or a relationship would look like with some of the newer characters on the show? And that could be anyone from like Sasha to Ava to even, well, Maxie, I guess, but she's with Spinelli. Natalia, like there's a lot of females on the canvas to choose from, and most of them don't have a relation to him. And again, like, we don't know who Lucky will be, essentially. They can put him with Sasha, Portia, could be, but yeah, we don't know what do you call it? What Lucky will be like. He could be shady as hell for all we know. He could be a drug addict himself. He could be a drunk. We don't know. We're not going to know until he gets here. But, assuming that anything is possible, anything is on the table in terms of what his personality will be, who he'll sort of interact with, what his story will be, the female canvas is at his oyster. The female canvas is his oyster, and he has plenty to choose from. This is what I'm getting at. Oh, ASJ talk trash about Frank Valentini in Ingo's Instagram comments. Well, whatever. They can stay bitter about it. Like, yeah, maybe that. I mean, to that end, it would be petty. It certainly would be petty of Frank Valentini to do. But I'm also like, why else would they make Jagger come back and look nothing like the original Jagger? That in itself makes you wonder. But whatever, it is what it is. That honestly could be the only point in bringing Jagger back at all. But whatever. I mean, they're not exactly ruining his character, because his character was essentially a clean slate too. We really don't know what he's been up to since he left Port Charles. I guess technically the second time round. First time round, obviously, he, married Karen. She died, and he's just been off somewhere. Found love again. Had his son Stone. We met Stone on night shift, and then put Lucky with Trina. Oh my god. That would be wild, but that's such, I don't know. I can't see it. Yeah, we don't, wait, what do we know about Stone's mom? What do we know about Stone's mom? We don't really know. Frank Valentini is a petty person who likes to be petty for no reason behind the scenes. Him and Ron Carlivati both. I don't know. I obviously can't speak to anything about One Life to Live, but with two Betty dudes at the helm, I can't see that being a fun environment to be in. Y'all want Trina with anyone but Gio? I'm down to put Trina and Gio together. Like, why not? Might as well put her with someone. Obviously, Spencer's not coming back, so. What do we know about Stone's mom? Maybe it's the same mom as Dex. Well, that's assuming that she's alive. I feel like they must have touched on Stone's mom's story when he appeared on Night Shift. She's what, 20? He's 45 or so. Yeah, but I can't speak to that. In my 20s, I dated guys in their 40s and 50s and 60s. So it is what it is in real life. But I don't know. I just can't see Lucky going after such a young woman. Mind you, Lucky and Maxie were definitely different age groups. But he was addicted to pills and she was providing them. So who knows? Hope Spencer comes back someday. I do too, but apparently Nicholas Chavez got another show already. Primetime with Ryan Murphy. Which is the least surprising thing. Sorry, I had a notification there. Who went after Lulu? You're not saying Lucky went after her sister romantically. Character is already like only 43, but maybe the actor's 45. I guess the older you get as an adult, the less it matters too. And Maxie is a grown-ass adult. Trina is very mature for her age, but I don't know. You know who I wouldn't have mind seeing Lucky with back when he was around the last time, like full time, was Maya Ward. I actually enjoyed their scenes together, even though she was with Ethan through most of her tenor. Lucky and Maya had some chemistry. I would have liked to seen that. The other one, do you mean Maxie? But again, he was addicted to pills and was willing to do anything to get them. But also, Jonathan Jackson really does have such a young demeanor too. Angel, you said I would date the right kind of man on his 40s, 50s in a heartbeat right now. I'm bored with my age group. That's generally how I feel. I've always dated older. But I've been dateless for so long now at this point, it doesn't even matter. But yeah. Like I said, anything can go with Lucky. I'm intrigued to see what they will do with him. I guess Elizabeth Corte has worked within writing for Lucky a lot in his previous tenors, so hopefully that comes into play with how he's written, or that he's at least written well with whatever they choose to do with him. He's just a little older than Maxie, probably 5-10 years. Okay. Yeah, that makes sense actually, because I'm thinking back to like BJ's Heart, which was what, like 1994 or something. Lucky came in 1995. He was like 13 back then, and she would have been like 8, 7 or 8. So yeah, 10-ish years. So yeah, that's not a huge age gap. So reverse that. Oh, okay, so Jagger and Stone's mom were in a custody battle. Okay. Yeah, I'll need to watch season 2 of Night Shift just to get my memory jogged again. Not that it matters. I don't really care much about Jagger at this point either way. I would be more intrigued with Jagger if his son came around. And is conflicted. Yeah, he really is aging gracefully. He looks so young. They talked about Lucky possibly singing. I really liked the moments that we got to see Lucky sing. We've like on GH itself, obviously he sang to Elizabeth when they were teenagers, but he also sang the same song to her as an adult when he came back in 2009 or 2010, whenever they kind of slowly got back together. And he sang My Girl to her as well. Plus, we got to hear A Nation, his band, on the show as well in a montage scene when Lucky was dating Siobhan. Jonathan Jackson sang in the TV show Nashville. Yeah. That's what I'm saying. But Lucky sang too as a character. So it could happen either way. I don't think I want him to get signed on by Brooklyn and become a rock star. But that is a possibility. They might want to utilize the fact that now he's a lot more established as a singer, just as to who he is in real life. Obviously, since the show Nashville, that kind of skyrocketed. And that's what he had left GH for back then, was to be on Nashville. But yeah. Anyway, all those theories and possibilities aside, I do want to watch at least one classic clip. Maybe two. I know what some of y'all are thinking, because y'all are gonna want to watch Lucky confront Elizabeth and Nicholas. I do not have that clip here. It exists, but I think that if we watch it again, because we've already watched it, we've already reacted to it, probably more than once at this point. So I've got one that we haven't reacted to, and then I have one kind of as a side note if we have time, that maybe we've watched, but it's not the confrontation scenes between him and Nicholas and Elizabeth. So I will attempt to put that up. I don't know if it's gonna work because I didn't set that up on time. I mean, I have the videos up, but I just don't know if I have my screen cooperating just yet. We already have Blaze. We don't need another singer. Ooh, Blaze and Lucky duet though. Oh, Bradford and Anderson and Steve Burton really made a statement saying, if y'all think they are dating, they have been deceived. People are getting catfish out here. I don't understand how people can be so easily duped by celebrities suddenly messaging them in real life. Like, that seems so weird to me. Okay, obviously, you guys can see a bit of my OBS. But I'm going to switch it to hopefully the right screen. Okay. Now I'll shrink the rest of me to size. Oh, that's not what I wanted to do at all. I'm failing, guys. There, I think. Ooh. Sorry, my camera is covering the bottom of my screen and I can't see. There we go. Had to turn my mood music off. Alright. Love the days when Liz and Lucky used to hang out with Gia and Nicholas. They need to bring Gia back. Come on. They got Trina out here floundering. Alright. So yeah, this scene that I have is when Jonathan Jackson first returned in 2009. His first scenes as Lucky. Obviously, Lucky never went anywhere at that point because he was being played by Greg Vaughn. This was literally the day after Lucky's or Greg Vaughn's last scene. So here we go. Just a reminder of what a Lucky return could look like if he was wooing Elizabeth. But obviously the difference here is that he didn't know that Elizabeth and Nicholas were already having an affair. What a time to bring back Jonathan Jackson as Lucky. I've had a couple of Steve Burton fake accounts try to follow me. I never really thought it was him. They were clearly fake. That's the thing. You think it would be clear. But to some it just isn't. Or just really wishful thinking.
Just a minute, just a minute. I'm coming.
Remember me?
Let me know about the audio, you guys.
Lucky Spencer is now being played by Jonathan Jackson.
There's the voice.
Remember you? My fiance, right?
Yeah, that would be why they call me Lucky.
Come in. I'm almost ready. I just can't find my jacket. It was so crazy getting the boys over to Graham's tonight, and I don't know why it always has to be such a major production. Where?
Left on the banister.
Oh, thank you. I'm just so scattered right now. Look, I've been holding my necklace for the past hour.
Here, let me.
Great, thank
True,
you.
Kaiwan, true.
Is there any particular reason why you're so nervous tonight?
Well, I guess.
I still feel too big. Hold on.
Just going out with you gives me butterflies.
There we go.
It's mutual.
There, thank you.
You okay?
Yeah.
Sorry that it's freezing, guys. I'm not sure what's going on there.
And I'm going to suggest something that I know you're probably not going to like, but bear with me.
I'm listening.
How about we go to the Haunted Star tonight to say hi to your dad?
Why?
He misses you, Lucky.
We don't even hear that voice anymore. I know.
miss him, too. And I'm not trying to flatter myself, but I think it's a little easier for the both
Yes,
of you.
Edmund, I hate to break it to
I'm
you.
there to build a bridge.
You shouldn't send him any money anymore.
You're
It's
flattering
not going
yourself,
towards
but sometimes I think that
Steve.
Dad and I do agree on this. How great you are.
It's not true. It's not even close. But Lucky, you've given me so much, and I'm not saying that I can give you back your relationship with your dad, but at the very least, I can come up with reasons for the two of you to hang out.
Or we could just go to dinner.
Or we can just go to dinner. It's up to you.
Oh, all right. Let's just go gambling. I feel like gambling. I don't know. I feel lucky tonight. Did I just say that?
Yes, yes, you did.
You did.
Well, I'm with you, so it must be true.
Since we're shaking up all the cast, can we also shake up the music producer? Because GH's background scores were fire back then.
Hey, we've got quite a crowd.
Not bad for a weeknight.
Jonathan and Becky look great together. They do.
The way you play?
Not guaranteed if you're dealing.
Come on, cowboy. Never knew you'd walk away from a challenge.
Also true, Angel.
Challenge? No, never. A setup? Any day of the week.
Are you inferring that I would cheat my own flesh and blood? That's my boy.
McGrath has the boys tonight, so we're having a night out.
Good. Let me stake you to a couple of games.
Oh, yes. Lure them in, then bring the hammer down, right?
I'll get you chips.
Nervous drinks.
I'm sorry for the leg, y'all. May Tyler rest in peace. Sorry, I'm just trying to fix something. There. Sorry, guys. Just closing things to try to fix the leg.
So whether it would be blackjack, Texas Hold'em, 5-card.
Your call, Elizabeth, anything you want.
What I really
That
want
part,
is-
Angel. Yeah, why are we sending money to men we haven't met?
Well, I can't compete with that.
Yeah, we're out of here.
Good night.
Or even like, yeah, even men that you have met that you would be dating. Like, why? What?
We have the whole place to ourselves till the morning.
Y'all better be married if you're sending each other money.
Perfect. Thank you.
This is when Liz had her hair.
I don't know. Done something a little more romantic.
Man.
I don't need that. All I need is you. You've been so patient and I've been all over the place.
I haven't always been patient, Elizabeth. I mean, the engagement party, for one. I wanted to tell you that it wasn't fair for me to just spring it on you like that.
It was amazing. And I know you were just thinking of me and the kids, like you always do.
It's okay to tell me. I was pushing too hard.
It worked out.
The fantasies,
And now all the
man.
people we love know we're starting over.
Nicholas must have been amazing in
So
bed if she was
everything's
just
official.
thinking about that.
Well, almost everything.
Oh, that classic GH music. The one thing I remember noticing when these scenes first happened was I was like, the music is suddenly a lot louder for these two than it typically is for anyone else.
Elizabeth, are you sure you're ready?
I love you.
Liz looks younger now than she did then. It's incredible. She's aging like fine wine.
Elizabeth, are you okay?
I want to be a sugar baby without the sugar. That is me in a nutshell, Angel.
It's okay.
God, I've been so terrible to you.
No, you haven't.
Like,
What is wrong with me?
y'all don't
I
have to
want
pay
everything
me.
I want is
I like
right
them
from
dad
you. I just
types.
can't seem to reach
I
out
don't need
and
to be
take
paid
it,
to
and
go
I'm sorry.
Hey,
to go
stop
there.
saying that.
Lucky, I love you. I love you. I really do. I have for most of my life.
Why is she kissing
And all
Lucky
I
when
wanna
she was
do
fantasizing
is
about Nicholas?
raise
Because she
a
didn't want to
boys
hurt him
here
again,
together in
and
this house, and
he knows that
it's
being
what
with
I've dreamed about.
him
I know,
is
but you
what
know
she should do,
I
and
just can't accept
Nicholas
it.
was taboo, and blah blah blah, and that was the
You're
story.
scared.
Well, I mean, Nicholas and Elizabeth, they kissed at a bar to make Rebecca Shaw jealous.
I know
Because-
how that feels too.
I don't know. I forget the
We're gonna get
reasons.
through this.
Or maybe it was the
I mean, look at-
Rebecca and Ethan thing.
Look
I
at
don't
what
know.
We've
But
survived so far.
then it turned into an affair.
I'll do whatever you need.
Mm-hmm.
Even sleep on the floor for old time's sake. I'll wait as long as it takes for you to trust this again.
I will say the writers Guza really put Lucky through the ringer
I always have.
when Jonathan Jackson was under the role. They made him go through hell. Affairs,
I don't deserve you.
falling off the wagon of sobriety, just his relationship with his father killing his kid. Like they put that man through hell. They did, and then they they had him fall in love with someone else to kill her off.
What are you doing up so early?
I would leave
So
too.
it's official. You really are becoming a gourmet chef.
Oh,
No,
did you,
I just,
Edmund? Yeah, there was a
just wanted
whole
to hear your
thing.
voice.
And that's the thing, is that this
Hey,
Nicholas
did
and
you get the,
Elizabeth affair
pictures
happened
that
while
I
Greg Vaughn
emailed
was still in the
you from
role.
engagement party?
And I think back then,
Good.
like,
No, I wish you had too, but I mean, I
Greg
understand
Greg
that
Vaughn
you
wasn't
visit
as
this.
like cherished
Somebody's
as
fault. It's
Lucky
just-
because of the
just
memories of Jonathan
complicated.
Jackson. So everyone was like, you know what? I kind of like Elizabeth and
I know,
Nicholas.
Elizabeth's-
They had their fans. I was a fan. And then they brought Jonathan Jackson back,
I don't know. She's afraid.
and it was like,
Something
oh no.
not of me.
You got these, like, they were arguably a super couple in themselves, you know what I mean? And for the early 2000s, they were as close as you could get. But, they were called LNL2, LNL squared,
She's just,
almost like a
she's so
sort
guilty
of like a
and
call
happy
to
for
Luke and Laura.
Jason, Jake.
Obviously not the same people.
It's like she's terrified she's gonna do something wrong or disappoint me. She couldn't do that. I mean,
I also
she
liked
won't
that they
do
had
that. I know
Lucky
that.
call Laura here.
Sometimes I feel like I know her better than she knows herself. What do you think I should
Even
do?
though Laura wasn't on the show.
I mean, do you think I should just keep telling her everything's gonna be okay? You think I should call off the engagement, just slow things down and see where everything is? Yeah? Oh, Mom, you don't have to.
Greg didn't have chemistry with Becky. I never felt like Greg was right for the role.
Hating the words as they're coming out of my mouth.
And they really dumbed him down too. When Greg was Lucky, they made him dumb as a box of rocks.
I can't give up on her. I know if we could just get to the other side of this, we'll be happy.
Big oof. Yeah, and Jonathan Jackson also came back at like the climax. Like Luke is finding out that Elizabeth and Nicholas had an affair. And we'll give me 1 second. I'm gonna pause this for just a second. We might watch what this is. Obviously you can see the title on the top. But just to touch base on the story that was going on with Elizabeth and Nicholas and Lucky. They brought Jonathan Jackson back during the climax. I think in some ways it was really cool to see Jonathan get to play this affair, but at the same time it was more heartbreaking because I think people at this point were like, I really do want Lucky and Liz back together, and it's hard to come back from sleeping with his brother. They will never do a story with a disabled character, so you will never see Jagger's son. We literally see Leo, who has the same autism as Stone currently. They have the same disability. So that's not true. But also Stone's an adult though. No, he doesn't have another disability. They are both equally autistic. And I think the same kind of, like, they like, their symptoms, at least back then, were very much the same. Do you have a dream casting for Stone Cates Jr.? No. I mean, obviously, they can't bring back the kid who played him because he tragically passed away himself. I forget what kind of what he had. It was a health thing. It wasn't like an accident or something. It was something that with his health, and he ended up dying. I love Leo. He cracks me up. Yeah, Leo's fun to watch. But yeah, I don't know. Initially I thought that they were gonna do something with Stone when Jagger came back, because there was all these things like Stone Cold was a hint, or no, not Stone Cold. They mentioned that the guy's nickname was Stone, and I was like, well, Jagger's name is Stone, and why is Jagger going out of his way to seemingly cover up what's going on here? So there was that whole thing. If I was on the show, my character would have to show their spina bifida. I gotta wear a leg brace. Oh, yeah. Flu gas spasm at a young age. Yeah, I can't remember. Like, he wasn't, I think by then, that actor was like a teenager, like almost 18 when he passed away. But he was on a TV show not that long before he passed away, and I don't know how they ended up having to write off the character, but yeah, was not expected at all. All right, so I think we have time to watch this last clip. It's one thing that I regret that we're not going to see with Jonathan Jackson being back is him and Tony acting together. They truly work so well together, and they bring out the best in each other. I think acting wise, this clip will prove it. It's just one of the most heartbreaking scenes that they've filmed together. I think the only thing that might top it was when Luke told Lucky about when he had raped Laura, and Jonathan Jackson was so young back then. This tops it because Lucky is confronting Luke on, or not. I don't know if this tops it. Does it top it? It's a matter of opinion. This is pretty darn close if it doesn't top it. Lucky confronting Luke on the fact that he ran over Jake with his car.
Maybe I was speeding. I was in a hurry to get to the gist of the piece to stand up for you. No, it's not speeding. But no, maybe I was speeding, but I didn't see him. I mean, if you think that if I saw him, I wouldn't have swerved, I wouldn't have driven into a telephone pole or a tree or anything.
Answer the question, Dad.
Surprised we're getting away with a Note 9 clip. That's why I always say under 2010 is what I aim for.
I had a drink.
Once we hit 2011, that's when I always started to get flagged.
How many drinks did you have before you got behind the wheel?
I wasn't drunk. I had a shot or two.
Don't lie to me.
What difference does it make?
My son is dead.
Not because I had a drink.
Dad, I saw you. I was here that night. You had a couple shots right in front of Siobhan, and how many more did you have before you left? What, 3, 4? I mean, I would put your blood out.
I can hold my liquor, Lucky.
No, I've heard it all before.
I don't drive drunk, ever. I always turn over my keys if there's any question. You ask anybody. I don't know how this could have happened. It was dark. I didn't see him. I swear to God, I didn't see him.
No, Dad, you didn't see him. And you didn't react because you were drunk.
Luke was what you would call like a functional drunk. He never seemed drunk, but he probably was.
I can hold my liquor.
You lost your mind?
I've been drinking since I was 12.
This is so sad.
Watch this.
Don't do this. Dad. Dad. Don't do this. Stop, please.
Stone cold sober, officer.
No. Dad. Stop. Dad.
Ooh, I get chills. Such chills. Ah! They're so good. Like, we were so, no pun intended, we were so lucky to get to see these guys act alongside of each other, because they were truly so good.
That doesn't make it.
They were so good. And like, so many other scenes together.
For God's sake, don't you think that I would have taken a different route if I'd known I wouldn't have driven so fast?
Yeah, I still don't hear you. Wishing that you hadn't taken those drinks, Dad.
Yeah, they were so good.
Your son is dead and you need
We're so
something to
lucky
do.
that we're getting him back too. Like, honestly, I can't wait. Well, first of all, I can't wait to see him act alongside Jeannie
You
again.
know that.
We got to see it briefly in 2015, but
I wish I could blame the drink.
Barely,
I do.
you know?
It would be an easy answer. It would be an easy way to explain what happened, but there are no easy answers here.
they didn't really get to have anything too deep in 2015
Lucky.
because they were both just guest starring at the time.
Nobody knows why this happened.
You can't see it. Can you? You won't look at it.
That's probably exactly why, Edmund, because they know he can rock the emotional
What's
stuff.
right in front of you, don't you see? Dad, it's what happens. Your dad gave it to you. You gave it to me. And it goes on and on and on. It's a curse. It's a curse. You're drinking. Killed my son.
Okay. Okay. If that's what you need to believe, if that comforts you and gets you through the night, then fine.
Luke was in such hard
It
denial,
was my
and
drinking that killed Jake.
I don't think he ever really owned
I was drunk.
it that he was a drunk. I don't think he ever owned it. He did give up drinking for a while, but I think he did that because
Say,
because no one would talk to him unless he did. Because they all had like a
Nothing.
what's that word that I'm looking for?
It's too late.
You know, like an intervention. And he refused to give up the booze, and they all cut ties with him. And then he decided to get sober.
I saw all the signs.
Oh, does this mean Aiden might have a drinking problem later? Who
I
knows?
was in
Who knows?
every bit as much denial as you were. I mean, it's the sins of the fathers.
Aiden seems like a good kid with a good head on his shoulders.
Terrible, random
But so did
things
Lucky
happen in
at
this
some point, so who
rotten
knows?
world. I am a deeply flawed man. But I love you.
It was one of the worst storylines. I actually really liked the
For
storyline.
you, please.
I think it's stupid that they brought him back alive.
Don't hate me.
I thought it was a great storyline, and it gave Jonathan and Becky and Steve and Tony such an opportunity to give such incredible performances, and they all did. They all did. I really enjoyed the story, and I was pissed when they, swung it back.
I'm just like I love Jake.
I always thought Luke was a functional alcoholic. Yeah, I don't know. I think maybe I just wasn't thinking too deep into it back then, but I think like he obviously liked to drink. But we could never really tell when he was sober and when he was drunk. Because we'd see him really drunk, but it would be like in crazy situations like when he married Tracy in Vegas.
Jake. Yeah, from what you said.
I didn't like Liaison, but I didn't want Jake dead. Well, I don't think anyone wants kids dead, though. You know what I mean? Like, I didn't like Liaison either, but I wasn't relieved that Jake died. I just think that it was a good story because it gives the canvas, like, something meaty to chew on, and it's absolutely heartbreaking, and it makes you feel things, and to just reverse it and not even explain how it happened, that part irritated me. Because it's like they did it for the sake of, they felt like Luke needed to be redeemed before he left. Like, that's the only reason why they did it. Tony Geary didn't even want it done. So, like, undone, sorry.
He won't admit that booze was a factor, that he didn't have any business getting behind the wheel. I mean, he said the words just to appease me, but he didn't mean it. He won't even acknowledge the possibility that this happened because he was impaired.
Dante's hair. Yeah. I actually liked Dante's hair back then, though.
How did he react?
He'll never have that hair again.
Was drinking.
This is true, Angel. But yeah, it's never fun to watch a kid die. Obviously, like.
Babies change things, don't they?
Oh, hold
Oh,
on.
you sure did.
Oh, we get a flashback within this flashback.
Yeah.
Would you mind?
Tony's hair. Jonathan's hair. I mean, actually, now his hair is kind of the same, isn't
It
it?
never happened to me.
Hey, Dad, if you had it all to do again, knowing what you know now,
I'd be afraid to do it again. Tell you the truth. I might really screw it up. I might try to raise you.
hey, is Jason here?
No.
Do you know where he is?
No, I'm not too sure.
Sam? Don't tell Mommy, okay? I need to know where Jason is. Did he go after my father?
Your father? Why would he go after your father?
Final forensics evidence just came in. Proves my dad was the driver who hit Jake.
Lucky, I am so sorry. I had no idea. I mean, I knew Luke was on the suspect list, but I had no idea he was the actual
Yeah,
driver.
Dante called Jason down to the station
I
and break
told
the
you,
news to him.
I don't know where Jason is.
Well, do me a favor. If you talk to him before I do, tell him not to kill my dad.
I wondered when you were going to show up. Bring your gun.
I was saying banged up. Sam banged up. I don't know actually.
You enjoying yourself?
Oh yeah, I'm having a grand time. Nothing like running over a kid. Pick up your spirits.
Were you drinking? Yes or no?
I drink. I wasn't drunk. But I did drive the car that killed Jake, and for that, there's no way you can ever say I'm sorry.
No, I'm not buying that. Because you're more aware of your surroundings and you're fast enough to respond when you're sober. Which you weren't.
Good point, Jason.
There it is. Use it.
Sorry guys, if you were in the chat, I was just enthralled by that scene. They don't have great acting like this on CBS. Ooh. When did Luke have a drinking problem though? Again, it felt out of nowhere. It's not that he had a drinking problem. It's just that he always drank. Yeah, exactly, Angel. He probably drank more alcohol than water. That is true. Storyline made no sense. This storyline, or the storyline of Jake being alive again, because that story made no sense. Him drinking, getting in a car, and operating it probably was nothing to him. This is true. This is true. But yeah, like, they never really... No one really ever spoke to Luke as if he had a drinking problem. It was just a part of Luke's life. It didn't really affect him doing anything, really. He still showed up to his work and did his thing. He was just always not sober, and so he was pretty normal. However, in this situation, when Luke is driving and he just didn't even notice that he ran over a kid, then of course that comes into question his drinking. So this storyline really highlighted the fact that, maybe we should address the elephant in the room, and that you're always drinking, and we know you were drinking that night, and yeah, it was dark, but you would notice hitting a kid if you were sober. And even Jason said it. Like, Jason was like, no, Luke, I know you. Like, when you're sober, you are hyper-focused. When, like, you need to get down to business, you're hyper-focused. You know your surroundings. You know what to do. The fact that you didn't means that you weren't sober. And Luke was also speeding as well, because he was trying to... I think he was trying to prevent Lucky and Siobhan from getting married, or just showing up to their wedding ceremony for whatever reason. But yeah, but without Jake, we wouldn't have Nell Benson and as the great villain plus hero. But yeah, but they could have made her the villain without the Jake thing. Like, the fact that Jocelyn got Nell's kidney when we saw, like, Jake brain dead on the table and Jake getting his organs removed, like, none of that made sense. And somehow Jake was alive and it wasn't him. Like, none of it made sense, and they didn't even explain how Helena managed to do the switcheroo. So that's what made that story ridiculous. But they didn't need to make Nell Jocelyn's kidney donor to have her go after Carly. You know what I mean? They could have done any explanation for Nell beyond that, and it would have made sense. Nathan, you said, I can understand GH addressing the issue of alcoholism, but this storyline, in a way, feels cheap after they brought back Jake. Yeah, that's what I'm saying. There was they should never have brought back Jake. They really shouldn't have, and that's not because I wasn't a big fan of Liaison. They had a kid. It is what it is. It just cheapens a story that is so emotionally hard hitting like this, where you see so much of it happen on screen. You see Jake brain dead on the table. You see Jason watching the surgery, and Robin and Patrick, watching him go brain dead on the thing. None of it made sense. None of it. Yeah, she was just crazy. Yeah, Nell literally, Nell was Frank Benson's daughter, and she could have simply just felt cheated out of the rich life that Carly has. That was explanation enough. They didn't need to do this kidney thing. None of it made sense. It was so dumb. It was so dumb. And Nell really was just kind of brought there to be sort of a wedge in Carly's life. And the Jake thing was unnecessary. The kidney thing was unnecessary. So yeah. But all right, y'all. That's kind of all I have for the stream. I'm looking forward to Jonathan Jackson coming back. I'm low-key worried because obviously at this point I think we're realizing that it doesn't matter who they bring back if the writing is not good. I'm going to assume that by the time we see Jonathan Jackson, the Patrick and Elizabeth era will be over, and the Elizabeth and Chris part will be in full swing. And I feel like I'm already noticing the transition. Obviously, they're kind of slowly walking back certain things within the other storylines, or like speeding things up, and obviously cutting certain cast members and bringing certain people back. Sonny and Ava's alliance is now over. Like, there's just all these things that were so all over the place with these characters are fizzling out. And obviously, ultimately, I want GH to succeed. I'm not super hopeful because we have, yes, Elizabeth Corte, but we also have Chris, who was fired for a reason. So I don't know. It's hard to say where things are going to go. But I hope it works out. And I hope the storylines, beyond Jonathan Jackson's Lucky's return, I hope that all the storylines become more interesting than they have been. Like I said, the only story that I've been really enjoying right now is the Finn alcoholic storyline. And we know that's coming to an end. So, like, I don't know. I'm getting nervous. I don't want GH to get canceled. I want to be able to enjoy the show again. That was my hope with Elizabeth and Patrick. That ultimately clearly didn't work. The writing is the problem, not the cast per se. Exactly, yeah. They have an incredible cast. They've always had, in my opinion, the best cast on daytime for the US anyway. In terms of acting, like Mark Teschner is 99% of the time he is on the ball with the actors that he hires. And you can't say that for a lot of the other soaps. I'm just basing this on clips that I've seen of other soaps where I just cringe at the acting. Like I said about the Jason comeback and the ratings. Yeah, like people watched for when he came back and left when they realized the writing was shite. So people will come back for Jonathan Jackson, but in order to make them stay, the story has to be good. I think we also had to own up to the part that, like, Jason's story had the unfortunate luck of being way super all over the place because obviously they planned to bring him back before the writers got fired, and then the writers got fired, and whatever they had planned went out the window, and they changed things up. But we're kind of... Jonathan Jackson is in the mix now, too, although... presumably... Sorry, my dog's just running by my window. I'm sure you guys can hear that. I don't know what she's freaking out at. Days of Our Lives have good actors too, just saying. And isn't it funny that most of them were on GH first, though? Oops. Minar has also a really good actor. Yeah, but like, I feel like... I feel like also, though, like... You can count on one hand, but I feel like GH has... as long as I can remember, and I think even beyond the days that I've watched, they've always had like a stellar group of actors consistently. Like, it always feels like at least a good 90% of the cast are fantastic at what they do. Where I find a lot of this other soaps, at least from based on what I've seen, it's like there's good ones. There's good ones, but there's bad ones. is what I've noticed. And I can count on one hand how many people I think were bad actors on GH over the years that I've watched alone. There's been certain doozies, clearly, but also like I don't know. I just yeah. Anytime I ever try to get interested in another one, I usually end up cringing, and I'm like, oh. But yeah, I'm not saying that all these soaps don't have good actors. They all do, but there's them, and then there's the GH actors collectively within the last 60 years. Surely that's not the case, because why? It's not like Susan Moore was evil. And if that was the story, that's probably why they got fired in the first place. Oh, God. Oh, man. Yeah. Yeah, I think I understand what you're saying, Kaiwan. Like, there's a lot of bad writing on GH, and I'm sure there's a lot of people that feel like that about all the soaps. The writings, I mean, the reality is the writing, no matter what soap you're watching, was obviously better back in the day, and part of that is budget. They can't tell as good of storylines. They don't have as much time to really create a story that is well thought out, because everything's in such a rush. There's times where they go dark. Do you feel like that because you never really gave any other soaps a proper chance? No, like I would always at least try to tune in during sweeps months. Like when I started watching GH fully, I would tune into the other soaps during the sweep months, because that's when things were interesting for any soap, right? Like for ABC, that's when all their disasters would happen, not just on GH, but on All My Children and on One Life to Live. So I would watch during those stories, and as and that's like a good month worth of an episode, or a good month worth of story where they're utilizing the majority of the cast. So if there's anything that's supposed to hook you in, it was, at least in those days, those months. And none of the other ones could ever hook me in. None of the other ones could ever hook me in. There'd be certain characters where I'd be like, I like those ones. And there were soaps that I followed through clips for those specific characters on YouTube. But I'd never been none of those stories on other soaps hooked me in in the same ways that GH hooked me in. And GH hooked me in because of those sweep stunts. And my grandmother, she watched all the soaps. So when, she'd be watching, I forget the order now. I think GH was the last soap to air out of the 3, right? All My Children, One Life to Live, then GH. But yeah, no, like my grandmother, she watched all the soaps. My mom was only a GHer, but my grandmother watched all of them. And sweeps time used to be a big deal and were fabulous. Yeah, all around, I think. But GH was the only one that made me actually want to continue watching. Because I would watch the sweep months for all those soaps. And I dabbled in YNR too, and also other soaps that were canceled, like, what's that one? As the World Turns, and like, other ones. And those ones were the ones where I'd watch clips of characters. But I've never been able to be hooked by GH. And the thing that hooked me with GH in the first place was the Port Charles Hotel fire. So that's what kept me wanting to tune in. And then I think they like officially won me over during was it the train wreck or what came first, the train wreck or the virus outbreak? One of those two, whatever one came after the train wreck, that's what made me stay. But the Port Charles Hotel fire was like the one where I would like tune in enough that I knew who the characters were, and I'd wonder what would be happening if I would miss it. Because you got to remember, I was still in school back then, so I'm catching like halfway through the episode. My grandmother's still watching it at home, and we didn't tape stuff. One Life to Live shouldn't have been canceled. That sucked. Yeah, I do think that GH was truly a victim of... Who was it? It wasn't Nathan... Was it Nathan Varney? Because I feel like Nathan Varney's still on, right? But whoever was... Brian Franz, right? I enjoy others because of their difference in energy, and they all have a different but unique feel to them, so I can appreciate that. You were born during One Life to Live. Oh, that's funny. I don't know. Maybe I think the general thing for me, GH was very unique in the sense that it had like the action-packed elements, whereas the other soaps didn't really have as much of it. So I don't know. Like none of the other ones could hook my interest, and at least back then, that's what held my interest. And I would argue, even in the realm of television shows in general, it's the action-packed shows that I tune in for. More so than like, I guess melodrama. Like like I don't know. I like a mixture of like when it manages to be action-packed and when it manages to mix the two well enough that both can hold your attention. And GH, they were kind of in their own sort of level, on their own level with the action. And so that's what kept me watching. And so there were definitely lulls between the sweeps months, but I'd always like tune in because I always knew like collectively everything's going to come to climax and get interesting by the time we get to February or November. So I don't know. Yeah, I like the action. Yeah, it's the action that hooks me in. And like the other shows that I do watch that aren't soaps are shows like 911, which is very much like action fueled. But they managed to do comedy and like the heartfelt stuff as well equally. And GH was a connoisseur of all three as well. They told really good action-packed stories while also telling really good heartfelt and romance stories and really good like character-driven stories. Like they had the trifecta. And I just felt like the other soaps didn't really have the trifecta, and so they never held my interest. And I do see previews to them on whether it like plays through on my YouTube playlists or if I catch it on TV. I always see the days of Our Lives promos all the time, but none of them. The only thing that like makes my eyes go like is when I see like former GH cast members on there. Be real, guys. We'll get a pass. Yeah, but that's if you have like any qualms about being seen as feminine. I do not. I never have. That ain't my problem. But no, I just personally like, I don't know. That just simply just didn't hold my interest. I love the action-packed stuff, and it's, that's the kind of thing that holds my interest. Television-wise, I'm a big softie for the romance too, but I need a good balance of it all to enjoy a show. But no, I like they each have their things that I found intriguing, like the soaps that are still around. Like Bold always goes on location, and like I'm jealous of that because GH just goes to the park and the parking lot. And Y&R is iconic in its own right, and Days, like, they're in this unique situation where they are like essentially just a streaming soap. They're managing to do what Prospect Park couldn't do, and they got a lot of great actors on that canvas because a lot of them are GHers, former GHers. It's like when I see Steve Burton and Tamara Braun and Greg Vaughn and Brandon Barash and like all these people from GH that I knew that I genuinely enjoyed their work there. There are things to watch, and I just have no desire to do it. I don't know. Well, now I have to get a streaming service in order to watch it, so that ain't happening. I've got enough as it is. Yeah, my brother watched GH for a bit for the mob. That was interesting. Everybody's going to the parking lot or the green screen. Is that the case now for the other soaps? Are they just going to the parking lot now? But yeah, no, for me, it's interesting for me because I liked the mob, but I got sick of the mob as well. I wanted action-packed stories that had nothing to do with the mob because I at some point I went down the rabbit hole of like 80s GH where it was super spies and, police officers actually being capable of doing their jobs and kicking ass and taking names and different things like that. Whereas now the mob were like seen as the good guys, and while I enjoyed it for a little bit, ultimately, I did not, and I hated it. I ended up hating it, and I ended up hating Jason because he was just like the hero of every story when there were all these other characters that could potentially be the hero and they got pushed by the wayside for Jason. Like, that's why I'm like, I loved J-Sam, hated Jason as a character just based on Guza's obsession to make him the number one, whatever. But I don't hate Jason now. And that's a lot. I think a lot of that has to do with just the fact that he's not always mob-centric anymore. The show is not really mob-centric anymore. You loved Mob GH. I love Jason. Oh my god. See, I hate, like, I there was a point where I did, but it just, like, when the mobster characters started playing hero in the other storylines that should have spotlighted other people as the heroes, that's when it would get on my nerves. Like, we had just off the cuff here, like the Toxic Ball story. Why wasn't Patrick Drake the actual hero of the story, and why was Jason the one running around like a maniac? Why was Jason the hero in the train wreck? Why was Jason the hero in the hostage crisis when they have Lucky and Mac, like all these other characters who had people inside that were desperate to get out of on there? Why didn't they make all those stars collectively? Why was it all about Jason being the hero? That shit got on my nerves, and that's when it started going downhill for me with the mob. Don't the detectives on GH get their own separate story? I don't know. I don't know. They just need to be written as competent, first of all. Watch the Chase and Jason marathon on SoapNet. If it wasn't for Jason and Sunny, I wouldn't have gotten sick. Wait, what? What do you mean you wouldn't have gotten sick if you... Wait, what? Wait, elaborate, Angel. Elaborate. Hopefully Jason doesn't go back to being Sunny's enforcer. I mean, I'm sure he will. You know, the Jason one is the only one that can shoot. Well, why is that? Shouldn't police know how to shoot? That is my point, Angel. That is my point. It's so stupid. Like, what? Not a single cop can shoot properly? Why? Because Jason has to be the hero. That's what made it annoying. That's what made me hate Jason. Like, it was so, like cringily in his favor to make him the hero and make everyone else look incompetent. Sam became a hero because of everyday heroes. Well, I feel like Sam became a hero because of how she handled the MetroCorp hostage crisis. And then she got the show. But then the show was really about whatever her name was. I think Angela Monroe. Or no, Angela Monroe was Sam's pseudonym. But Amelia was the character's name. Amelia's dad was killed by Sam, and she hired her to get vengeance. But her being the hero in the MetroCorp is what got her to be the everyday hero. Cops around where you live can't run or shoot well. Yeah, but like realistically, what reason does Jason have to shoot well? What, like, there are things that cops can do to be as good of a shot as Jason. So, like, utilize that. That's all my point was. That I'm just saying why I hated Jason back then. The writing isn't as heavy in his favor anymore, so I can tolerate him now and enjoy the character. I'd enjoy him more if the writing was good, period. Like, I want to enjoy, and that's the thing. We're lucky, going back to the actor thing, we're lucky that GH has actors that can turn bad writing into gold just by how they bring the story to life. Unfortunately, a lot of the stories right now are things that even the actors can't fix. The only one that worked was, in my opinion, the Finn alcoholism story. And to that end, it is being really rushed. Maybe because they're booting him out, but like, it's easy to let that go, let the part that it just escalated so quickly because Michael Easton is doing such a great job, and Jane Elliott's doing such a great job, and Nancy Lee Grahn is doing such a great job, and so it's like, actors can make things work, but there are just certain things that even the actors can't fix. So it is what it is. But yeah, I am going to end it here, y'all, because I didn't expect to be live streaming this long, and my ass is tired. So I will see y'all on Sunday. We will react to however this week ends. I'm actually, this week's holding my interest more than the others, because now we got other things like Carly knowing the truth about Jason, and you know, obviously now knowing that Finn's leaving, what could happen as he exits the door. So mad at how Sunny has been treating Ava. Because if you give Michael Easton a great storyline, he'll do a great job on it. Yeah. Well, it's a great storyline, but it's a very rushed storyline. But I can look past the rushness because, you know, Michael's doing such a great job. But yeah, anyway, we'll talk about GH as a whole on Sunday. In the meantime, see you Sunday, yes. Thanks so much for tuning in. It's been a fun almost 2-hour stream, y'all. I loved talking about the theories about Lucky. I loved watching the throwback clips. And I love this conversation that we've had. It's been like one of the funnest ones we've had on here, I think. There's just so much to talk about. But we'll talk about the rest of the show on Sunday. So if you like this video, give it a big old thumbs up. Subscribe if you want to. I'm almost at 1,000, y'all. Find some more people. Let's get there. All right. But yeah, I'll catch you guys next time. Peace out. Good night. See you Sunday.